for us in the West, it could become a choice, it could be a decision. Hello, welcome to a new edition of Before the Weekend, your weekly update on things that I believe matter for society, humanity and the economy. Today's edition is in Zanzibar, Tanzania. I'm Olivier and I will be talking about Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna matata.
Hakuna Matata is a Swahili word, that's the language they speak in Tanzania, amongst other countries, and it means as much as don't worry, there are no problems, everything will be okay. And people tend to say it like all the time, when you ask something and it is going to take some time, or when there is something that is not available, or just simply, as a way of greeting, they would say Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata became as you probably know, very well known and very famous in a certain way through the Disney film, The Lion King, with the famous song of Elton John. And I'm really intrigued, having been here in Africa for some time, spent time with the local population to understand what this really means, and the contrast of the way how people live with a Hakuna Matata mentality in this part of the world and the way how we are in the Western world, always so stressed and always living for something that often is next to ourselves and not with ourselves. So let's explore.
Hakuna matata.
So I really got very triggered and intrigued by this word Hakuna Matata and the meaning of it. And it came up to me that very often in the Western world we live in a very stressful way, very often doing things, running after things, being in this famous rat race that we all know of, but that we don't really seem to be able to manage. And in this part of the world, people live in a very different rhythm. I observe people living very close to nature, people living very close to the start, the sunrise, and the end, the sunset of the day. People live connected with the ocean. And yes, obviously, I can hear many of you say, well, Africa is a very poor continent and people are very poor. And that also became something very intriguing. Which poverty? Is it economic poverty or is it human poverty? Is it poverty of the soul or is it poverty of the means? And I think the contrast between living in a certain economic poverty and material poverty contrasted to the enormous material wealth we have and the material abundance we have in the Western world is something, but the poverty of the soul and the poverty of our purpose, the poverty of the meaning we give to our life, pushing us to not live Hakuna Matata style, to live running for things, to live in that eternal rat race, pushing mental illness, pushing depression, pushing burnout, pushing bore-out, pushing disconnection from what we do and from ourselves to never seen percentages, never seen highs. Maybe there is some interesting perspective in taking life more from Hakuna Matata mentality.
Jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana, wageni, ukaribishwa, nzuri yetu, Hakuna matata.
So for me the real question is, what if we would have some more Hakuna Matata in the West? And what if we would welcome some more putting things in perspective? And what would happen if we would invite a noble purpose to our life and reflect about that, what is really important and essential to us?
Hakuna Matata!
where Hakuna Matata in this part of the African continent seems to be a lifestyle, totally embedded in the culture, for us in the West it could become a choice. It could be a decision to live with more perspective, to be able to live with the possibility to take distance, to be able to decide by ourselves what is it that we really need to do and how we can call the shots for ourselves that are relevant to our life, to our families, to the people we care for. And this important contrast between always being on the run for something, kind of like running behind a carrot, contrasted to taking life from a very different perspective. I'm not saying that we in the West should all become Africans, and I'm not saying that there is no room for improvement in the way how the African world functions and the way how the African economy functions. But I do think that there is interesting lessons to learn from each other. And this Hakuna Matata mentality, or this Hakuna Matata philosophy, is definitely something which is worth exploring.
Hakuna matata.
Thank you for being with me in this philosophical edition of Before the Weekend. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got triggered by the questions that I asked. If you like the talk, do like it, share it with people, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you'll be with me another time. It was a pleasure sharing some thoughts from Zanzibar in Africa, and I hope I will see you again soon.
Yeah, Hakuna Matata. Okay.